Hey everybody, how's it going? Christian from Treasure Town here, and I'm really excited to give you a full overview on the 1915S Panama Pacific Commemorative Silver Half Dollar. Now this is a really interesting coin, and you're going to see why in just a few moments, but from the general sort of obvious history to some of the behind the scenes, there's some no S and different planchet, really patterned coins, but a little more story behind the coin than you might think. We're also going to be going over some of the die varieties. There are two repunched mint marks that I'll be detailing with clear photos as well as values. So really you're going to get the full overview. Let's hop into it with the basic stuff and we'll move on from there. So here we have the start of the presentation. Obviously you can see these are gorgeous coins, but I'm going to really tell you all about them, both from sort of what to look for on them as well as just a really cool history lesson. So we'll start with all of the sort of basics. The context in which this coin was made, it was made for the Panama Pacific International Exposition, which was held in San Francisco in 1915, and it was sort of a dual purpose celebrating the recovery of San Francisco, that general Bay Area, after the 1906 fire and earthquake that just devastated the city. And then obviously opening the Panama Canal was a huge deal because before you were shipping things, you were transporting them all the way around South America. The land transport was horrible, so you'd need canals. Really, it was by water or by rail, but not everything could go by rail. So this was awesome and a real cause for celebration. They sold these coins for $1, and back then, it was really, you were just paying $1 for a cool coin. It wasn't obvious that these would appreciate, and so not all of them were sold. I think they minted 60,000, 200,000 were authorized, but they ended up only, having like 28,000, put out into production. The rest were all melted. And then, like I said, there's going to be some really cool pattern coin history that we'll get into later, but it would have been just normal, 90% half dollars. The designer, this was a pretty awesome coin. It was both Charles Barber, who did the Barber coinage, and George Morgan, who had done the Morgan dollar. And then on the front of the coin, we see Columbia, a child behind her with the branches and the Golden Gate. The branches, or the cornucopia, is sort of the bounty of the West, because at this point the West was still very underexplored. But all of these coins are pretty rare in terms of pricing. These are 2021 prices, obviously, and they are subject to change. But they're, most of these are remaining in mint state. They didn't get really spent around, but this is just sort of a general estimate. Mint state 67 is where they get super expensive, but any mint state, or really any of these coins, is pretty valuable. And yeah, the mintage is 27,134. There's going to be two die varieties, repunched mint marks. Here you can see the first one, and the prices on the repunched mint marks are not going to be enormously more expensive, though there was a mint state 68 that was sold that was repunched, and that was sort of like the best coin that's out there that's not a pattern. So you can see to the right of the top of the S, certainly something to look for, and it's going to make more of a difference when the coins are in lower grades as opposed to super high-end grades. There's also a second repunched mint mark where it's prominently to the top. So the first is going to be coming out of the top on the side to the right of it. This time the second S, small punching the top of it, is seen above the top serif of the S. And again, more value added for like mint state 63, 64. When you get super expensive, generally the varieties aren't going to make as much of a difference. Now, what I want to talk about are these unbelievable pattern coins, and they're no S coins. You can see, the mint mark, all of them were minted in San Francisco, would have been to the left of the 1915. And here, in this case, there were a very small number struck in copper, silver, and gold, possibly for the Secretary of the Treasury or somebody else who was a collector, but originally they weren't going to put S mint marks on the coins because all of them were struck in San Francisco, but obviously the people at the mint out in San Francisco were like, hey, we still want to put the S mint mark to show that we were the ones who were coining these, and they agreed. They hadn't shipped the dies out, so they just punched all the coins with S's, or gave them the punches, sent them out to San Francisco, but the dies without the S mint were used in some pattern pieces, and again, there were like 4, I think, surviving known in copper, and these are like, $200,000 coins. This one was a little less nice. That's a $110,000 coin. And then this one sold in 2003 for $165,000. This one's the gold one, I think, to survive. I didn't get a photo of the silver, but the no S ones, maybe it's not even something to hope for. If you ever see a silver pan pack with no S, that would be a massive find, but they theoretically could exist just because there's the presence of other ones. So that's sort of the hidden layer here that makes these coins super interesting. Hope that you enjoyed. I didn't see any other real dedicated and sort of thorough video on the pan packs anywhere on YouTube, so I wanted to make one. I learned a lot when I made this video, and I'll be doing some similar style videos coming up in the future. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like the video, comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And I also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and some other social media platforms. You can also go to my main channel website, treasuretownYT.com, to learn more about the channel and sort of stay in contact. I also will eventually host all of these videos on coinsmetalscards.com, which will be both news, marketplace, and coin information. I do have the goal of eventually getting pretty much every US coin, date, mint mark, denomination on the channel with a similar video to the one that you just watched, and that will likely all be hosted there. And then I also have treasuretowncoins.com, which is sort of my coin dealing wing, coin dealing only entity that is a little bit less focused on content production. So thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos. I also have videos that are not just the date, mint mark, denomination recap in this format, so you can check some of those out, and I'll have fun seeing you there.